Chapter 31 Looting Treasures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thousands of years ago, the Huangxian ancestor was a powerhouse who traveled around, challenging the best fighters. Then, he vanished. Rumors spread. Some said a powerful foe took him out, others that he'd moved to another continent, and still others that he was holed up in the Jinyu Sword Sect, living in seclusion. Now, he's back. And he's stronger than ever, wielding a terrifying sword even at a distance. The three observers trembled. Imagine what his power felt like up close. The rank-and-file troops didn't recognize him, or even know the legend of the Huangxian ancestor, but the old guy's sheer power was undeniable. This was getting interesting. The disciples and elders of the Jinyu Sword Sect erupted in cheers, finally seeing their ancestor step forward. In their minds, he was invincible. With him around, anything was possible, and no one was safe. These punks from Kunlun Holy Land had pushed things too far. It was time to take them down. The disciples watched the Huangxian ancestor with anticipation, admiration, and respect, hoping he'd instantly vaporize Ye Chen. That was the only way to salvage the Jinyu Sword Sect's reputation. Ye Chen, however, seemed completely unfazed by the overwhelming sword intent. He still wore a friendly smile. Is this really necessary? We're a peaceful sect, and we're not into fighting and killing all the time. Ye Chen sighed. Enough talk. I'll kill you today, or I'll kill myself. The Huangxian ancestor, never one to back down, drew his sword. A flash of cold steel streaked across the sky. His killing intent aimed straight for Ye Chen's heart. The sword strike shook the world. He had spent his life mastering the blade. This one strike, infused with all his power, could even pose a threat to a true immortal, but just when everyone thought Ye Chen was done for, he simply raised a finger and touched the tip of the sword. Ding! The sound of steel on steel rang out. To everyone's horror, the sword shattered, bit by bit, and all the sword energy vanished. No one was more shocked than the Huangxian ancestor himself. He knew the power of his sword better than anyone. How could someone destroy it with a single finger? Before he could process what was happening, an even greater force slammed into him. The Huangxian ancestor opened his mouth in a silent scream, and then his body exploded into a cloud of blood. The ancestor, a powerhouse at the peak of the tribulation period, was dead. Unspeakable shock gripped the crowd. To them, an ancestor-level figure was as high and mighty as the sky itself. At least in the falling moon realm and the Holy Land, he was untouchable. Yet, he was killed with a single finger. Ye Chen, meanwhile, looked relaxed and unfazed. For him, killing an ancestor who had transcended the tribulation period was as easy as swatting a fly. The three sect leaders watching the battle were having an existential crisis. They thought the Huangxian ancestor's arrival might level the playing field against Kunlun Holy Land, but one finger was all it took. What level has he reached? Has he become a true immortal? No, he has to be a true immortal, or even something beyond. This is terrifying. We need to stay out of this. Let him take whatever he wants. The sect leaders were terrified and, more than ever, relieved they had kept their distance. Watching from the sidelines was definitely the right call. The people of the Jinyu Sword Sect were beyond horrified. How could the ancestor they admired so much be taken out with a single finger? The entire sect fell silent. They looked as if they'd seen a ghost. This. The two remaining ancestors stood frozen, not daring to move a muscle. Their strength was about the same as the Huangxian ancestors. If he could be killed with one finger, they were just as vulnerable. Even a complete idiot would know to never cross this guy. Otherwise, their entire sect was doomed. An icy chill washed over them. The smiling guy who looked like the boy next door suddenly seemed like the most terrifying monster imaginable. Ye Chen sighed again. Hey, I told you we're reasonable people and generally don't do anything rash. You can't blame me for this, right? No blame, no blame. Of course, we don't blame you. It's all that old fool Huangxian's fault. He deserved it. One of the ancestors quickly forced a smile, his voice dripping with flattery. he was afraid that one wrong word would result in the same fate as the Xianjian ancestor. We've always told him to be kind to others and not to make rash decisions. See what happened today? We tried to talk him out of it, but he wouldn't listen. That the other ancestor was quick to distance himself from the Xianjian ancestor. Seeing the sudden change of heart, everyone understood, only a fool would keep fighting. Our Qingxiu sword sect is a reasonable sect, and we like to cooperate with other reasonable people. Senior, if there's anything you need, just ask, and we'll be happy to provide it. That the smile on the ancestor's face stretched so wide it looked like a chrysanthemum. In the end, Ye Chen walked away with tens of thousands of sword techniques, tens of thousands of swords, mountains of spiritual stones, and countless rare treasures from the Qingxiu sword sect. He didn't need these things, but they would be extremely useful when Kunlun Holy Land expanded in the future. The two remaining ancestors basically emptied out the entire sect just to get rid of these four pests. Seal the mountain. Activate all formations. From this day forward, the mountain will be closed indefinitely. Qingxiu sword sect was officially terrified. They could only hope that Kunlun Holy Land would also take down the Tiangang Dao sect and Guiyuan sect, otherwise, they'd feel cheated. After leaving Qingxiu sword sect, Ye Chen contentedly led his 4 disciples to Tiangang Dao sect. He also took the opportunity to lecture his disciples. See. As long as we're reasonable, communication is easy. The 3 disciples nodded in agreement, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. That didn't seem very reasonable, did it? But since their master said so, it must be true. The spectators following them were speechless. Reasonable. Is that what he called it? Who had ever seen someone kill an ancestor during the tribulation stage to be reasonable? The plaque that read Kunlun Holy Land, convince people with reason seemed to mock them from the distance. Before long, Ye Chen arrived outside the gates of the Tiangang Dao sect. Like the Qingxiu sword sect, the Tiangang Dao sect was ready for a fight, armed to the teeth and exuding killing intent. But unlike the previous situation, people from Guiyuan sect had gathered with them. It seemed these 2 sects were joining forces to take on Ye Chen. Chapter 32 True Immortals. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sect leader's murder was a huge disgrace, a humiliation, and a blood feud. So, the 2 sects teamed up against Ye Chen. They were sure that the combined might of 2 sects was more than enough to take down one person. They'd heard about what happened with the Qingxiu sword sect, but they were confident in their own strength. The acting sect leaders stood shoulder to shoulder, facing Ye Chen from a distance. We're done playing games. Confess your sins, kowtow, and maybe we'll let it slide. The Guiyuan sect leader spat out, cold and furious. Otherwise, the combined power of our sects will crush you right here. The Tiangang Dao sect leader added, equally menacing. Seeing their determination, Ye Chen knew it was time to reason with force. You want a tag team? Fine by me. Saves me the trouble of hunting you down one by one. Ye Chen smirked. His words sounded incredibly arrogant to the assembled sections. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't possibly take on 2 entire sects, right? But the troops following Ye Chen weren't so sure. They'd seen him kill a tribulation stage ancestor with a flick of his finger. He'd even forced 2 tribulation stage ancestors to pay a heavy price just to settle things. No matter how tough the Guiyuan and Tiangang sects were, all they had were tribulation stage ancestors. More bodies didn't matter. It would just mean 2 extra fingers to kill. Unless they could summon a real immortal ancestor, there was no point in resisting. Cocky. We'll give you 3 days to go home and think about your actions. The Guiyuan sect leader shouted. This confused a lot of people. They were already in position. Why not attack Ye Chen now? Why give him 3 days to think? Fishy. Were these sects stalling for time, planning something? As Ye Chen faced the 2 sects, 2 more figures appeared in the distance. One was Su Lingyun. Next to her was a beautiful middle-aged woman, not Tao Yaoyao. Elder Ruyan, are we too late? Seeing the standoff, Su Lingyun grew anxious, though she didn't know why. Ruyan looked at Ye Chen, frowning. There's something off about that kid. I can't read his power level. Is he stronger than me? Impossible, I'm a true immortal. He must have some secret technique to hide it. Elder Ruyan had an alluring figure, curvy in all the right places. Her breast swayed slightly as she spoke. She was also incredibly proud. She was an inner elder of Luoyue Holy Land, a true immortal. Her status and strength made her someone to be reckoned with. Luoyue Holy Land had heard about Kunlun Holy Land, and that Su Lingyun had been to Fulong Mountains, so, Elder Ruyan came with Su Lingyun. If the rise of Kunlun Holy Land threatened to upend the Luoyue realm, she would intervene. The Luoyue realm belonged to Luoyue Holy Land. Elder Ruyan, can you spare that young man's life? Su Lingyun wanted to plead for him. Ruyan smirked. Oh. You feel bad for him? Su Lingyun blushed. No. I don't. Elder Ruyan, don't be silly. I just think he didn't do anything wrong. Ye Chen had accepted the disciple first and others had tried to steal her, causing the conflict. She thought Ye Chen was innocent. If Ye Chen couldn't instantly kill everyone, the Jinyu Sect leader would have killed him without a second thought. He was just defending himself. Don't worry, I won't kill anyone, I'll just mediate. But if he goes too far, I'll capture him and imprison him in the Holy Land. Ruyan said casually, but with confidence. She was a true immortal elder from Luoyue Holy Land. As they spoke, Ye Chen smiled and said to the acting sect leaders, no need to delay, you got what you wanted. Everyone was confused. What did you got what you wanted mean? Did he see through their plan? Suddenly, from deep within the Tiangang Dao sect, two terrifying auras exploded into the sky, stronger than anything they'd felt before. Boom! The power of the two bursts shook the heavens. Incredible pressure blanketed the world, as lightning crackled in the sky like the end of the world. That pressure is from the true immortal realm. They were stalling so their ancestors could break through. Elder Ruyan realized. No wonder the acting sect leaders were talking so much, giving Ye Chen 3 days to think. It was a trick. If the ancestors became true immortals, they would have the power to crush everything. Isn't that bad? Hearing about the two true immortals, Su Lingyun turned pale and worried about Ye Chen. That was a true immortal. They were the top dogs, even in the Holy Land. Even a new true immortal was a massive threat. Sure enough, two figures radiating awesome power shot out of the Tiangang Dao sect, accompanied by thunder. Their presence was devastating. Their power dwarfed Shenzhen ancestors by a mile. Two true immortals. The 3 sect leaders hiding in the shadows were stunned. They never dreamed that the united Guiyuan and Tiangang sects would have 2 true immortals. Shenzhen ancestor was strong, but these two were on another level in the Dongxing continent, and in the Luoyue realm. The 4 from Kunlun Holy Land had no chance. It wasn't that Kunlun Holy Land was weak, but the 2 true immortal ancestors were too strong, too powerful. Chapter 33 Overfulfilling the Task. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You ignorant fool. Go ahead and end it all. How dare you, you arrogant jerk, think you can just do whatever you want. The 2 ancestors from the true immortal realm looked like old men, but their manifested forms towered tens of thousands of feet high. They were already lost in the clouds. Seeing their ancestors successfully reach the true immortal realm, the acting sect leaders of the 2 major sects were ecstatic. Finally, we have a true immortal. Our ancestor can protect our sect for tens of thousands of years. Moved to tears, they cheered wildly. In their eyes, the Kunlun Holy Land people were as good as dead. Ancestor, it's them. You have to kill him. The 3 around him are geniuses, we can snatch them and turn them into puppets. Imagine how terrifying those 3 puppets with peerless genius physiques will become, that they couldn't help but shout, celebrating their victory prematurely. The 2 true immortal realm ancestors didn't waste words. They raised their hands and slammed down on Ye Chen and the others. Their massive palms, thousands of feet wide, were like 2 mountains blotting out the sky. Looking up at them inspired nothing but despair. Being crushed by one true immortal would mean certain death. And now, 2 true immortals were attacking together. Everyone thought, this is it. Elder Rian braced herself to rescue them. There was no choice. Su Lingyun didn't want the kid to die, remember? 2 true immortals. It's my first time in the true immortal realm, so this is a little stressful. Despite her words, Elder Rian had already condensed a ball of Hunyuan immortal qi in her hand, ready to block the attacks at the last moment. Only Ye Chen seemed unfazed. He even had time to yawn. Looking at the 2 true immortal ancestors determined to die, Ye Chen decided to resort to fists since reason wouldn't work. Might makes right. Just a plain, ordinary punch. Ye Chen threw a punch at the sky as if he were stretching. It was barely a punch, more like casually raising his arm, because it didn't look like a punch at all, but that simple punch shattered the 2 massive descending palms. Endless immortal power exploded, turning into a rain of light that shot everywhere. The true immortal realm ancestors stared in disbelief, unable to speak. They didn't even know when they started bleeding from every orifice, their eyes filled with fear, astonishment, and despair. In the end, their newly ascended bodies and souls exploded, turning into pure immortal power and returning to the world. It all happened so fast that no one could react. Only Elder Rian, also in the true immortal realm, gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. As a fellow true immortal, she knew how terrifying those 2 palms were. Reaching the true immortal realm meant your spiritual power converted into immortal power, and your body and soul underwent a massive transformation. You became something else entirely. True immortals had unmatched strength and vitality. But what had she just seen? The kid just stretched his back, and 2 powerful true immortals exploded? Did I just imagine that? Elder Rian muttered, dazed. She didn't even notice that most of her clothes had slipped off, revealing her snow white. After a few moments, everyone snapped back to reality, and loud screams, discussions, and shouts erupted. They thought it would be a drawn-out fight, but it was over in a blink. The true immortals exploded. Seriously, it's almost funny when you think about it. The most devastated were the people from Guiyuan Sect and Tiangang Dao Sect. They had pinned all their hopes on the 2 true immortal ancestors, and now they were plunged into despair. The fight ended too quickly, faster than some guys in bed. It was over before it even started. Ye Chen didn't care if these people were crying or hating him. He gave them a chance. They didn't take it, so it's not his fault. Ye Chen casually brought his hand down, and the sky seemed to collapse. A massive, boundless palm flattened the entire Tiangang Dao sect. When he lifted his hand, a huge palm print remained. Everything turned to ash. The world fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone held their breath, watching this unbelievable scene, their minds unable to process it. A huge sect wiped out in an instant. That was the Tiangang Dao sect, the king of the Luoyue realm, a place where countless people dreamed of training. And it was just wiped off the map with one slap. Wait, the Guiyuan sect is gone too. When everyone started to come to their senses, they realized Ye Chen and the others were gone, vanished without a trace. Though they were gone, the shockwaves they left behind began to spread through the Luoyue realm. The monks who witnessed the event were speechless for days, still reeling from the shock. They told everyone they knew what happened, even if their throats got sore. Man, that was insane. He killed Huangxian's ancestor with one finger. Can you believe it? If I hadn't seen it myself, I wouldn't have believed it. The Qingxiu sword sect is so scared, they've closed their gates. Who knows when they'll open again? I bet it won't be for hundreds or thousands of years. This whole thing messed them up so bad. Who would dare open the gates so soon? The Qingxiu sword sect is so weakened that they have to take some time to recover. That's putting it mildly. They were lucky to surrender early and pay to avoid disaster. The Tiangang Dao sect and Guiyuan sect are screwed. They lost everything, even their sects got destroyed. People in the Luoyue realm could talk about that unbelievable battle for days without getting tired. Even if they repeated the same story, they never got bored. Like, Ye Chen killed 2 true immortal ancestors with one punch, and leveled the entire Tiangang Dao sect with one palm. The more they talked about it, the more hyped they got. In just a few days, word of Ye Chen's deed spread throughout the Luoyue realm. Everyone knew about it. The name of Kunlun Holy Land was now famous in the Luoyue realm. If someone didn't know about Kunlun Holy Land, it meant they were totally out of touch and couldn't join the conversation. They'd be left out. The ones who were most bummed out were those who were in retreat at the time. They missed the best part. Ye Chen and the others had already returned to Kunlun Holy Land. Temporary mission. Let the name of Kunlun Holy Land resound throughout the falling moon realm. Mission accomplished and exceeded. Mission rewards are as follows. Please host to collect them. Chapter 34 Spiritual Fruit, Enlightenment Tea, and Sect facilities are gradually improved. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Reward, 10,000 Danyang red fruits. Reward, 10,000 dragon scale fruits. Reward, 10,000 soul infant fruits. Reward, 1,000,000 acres of red blood fairy soil. Completing the mission gets you these 4 rewards. All kinds of natural treasures. Danyang red fruits temper your body's spiritual power, working best during body refinement and the tribulation stages. Of course, as your cultivation grows, their impact lessens. Dragon scale fruits strengthen your physical form. They're applicable during the same stages as the Danyang red fruits. Soul infant fruits condense the soul. These are rare, as treasures that boost the soul are hard to find. 10,000 soul infant fruits. That's a miracle among miracles. Finally, the red blood fairy soil cultivates other heavenly treasures. The Kunlun Holy Land already has rich spiritual energy, making it easy to grow such treasures. Add 1,000,000 acres of this soil, and what can't he grow? Sweet. Time to build a spiritual plant garden. It'll be great when the Holy Land expands. Ye Chen was pleased. It'll also help Mu Yan and the others. And there are rewards for taking Su Jian as a disciple. They're not ready yet. I'll set them up now. Original Sword Palace, activate. As he pulled the original Sword Palace from the system, a massive structure thundered into existence in Kunlun Holy Land. The original Sword Palace holds countless swords and sword techniques. For sword practitioners, training there is the ultimate dream. The chosen can find their own sword and fitting techniques. Compared to the original Sword Palace, the Qingxiu Sword Sect's inheritance is garbage. After setting up the palace, Ye Chen also installed the Sutra Pavilion. Similar to the palace, the Sutra Pavilion contains techniques, skills, and secrets. Everything from mortal-level tricks to emperor-level magic is there. This pavilion alone is 100 times richer than those holy lands. Those lands produced immortal emperors for ages, creating emperor-level techniques, but they can't compare to the Sutra Pavilion. With it and the original Sword Palace, Kunlun Holy Land instantly has the best kung fu knowledge in the desolate immortal world. And 100 true dragon elixirs. These are crazy valuable, that with a wave, Ye Chen planted 100 elixir trees in the spiritual plant garden. The garden is made of 1,000,000 acres of red blood fairy soil, which is perfect for the elixirs. Shaped like tiny dragons, no longer than an arm, they're already sentient. Arriving at the garden, they hopped around, then mischievously burrowed into the soil, disappearing who knows where. Next, the immortal slaying sword formation. Even Ye Chen got excited about this. It's not just the formation, it comes with 4 swords, the immortal slaying sword, the immortal killing sword, the immortal trapping sword, and the immortal ending sword. These swords are emperor level. Ye Chen had the Wuxia Immortal Bell, an imperial weapon, which was terrifying. Now, he gets 4 imperial swords at once. Plus, they form a powerful formation. That alone makes it better than the Immortal Bell. We've now got 5 imperial weapons, plus the original Sword Palace and Sutra Collection Pavilion. Our foundation is better than any holy land. Ye Chen was satisfied. The final reward, 2 Immortal King summoning cards. He summoned them immediately. 2 figures with powerful auras appeared, respectfully bowing to Ye Chen. He was surprised both were women. One wore a long red dress, her snow-white shoulders bare, her skin delicate. She floated a foot off the ground, barefoot. Her feet were tiny and delicate, white and smooth, her toes like jade. I am Hongmeng, and I've met the sect leader, that her name means Red Lotus, and she certainly lives up to it in her dress. As she bowed, the two white orbs above almost spilled out, the ravine so deep it seemed the air had grown hotter. Even Ye Chen took notice. Damn, what a stunner. But, as an invincible immortal emperor, he wouldn't fall for just looks. Next to her stood a beautiful woman in a long white dress, as white and flawless as crystal. Her figure was graceful, her belt accentuating her perfect slender waist, defining full grip. Her bare feet were like works of art. Noticing the sect leader looking her over, she blushed, but playfully lifted her skirt, revealing her white calves. If the sect leader liked it, he could look all he wanted. I, Snow Lotus, have met the sect leader, that the fairy king named Huangxian bowed delicately. The two soft white orbs nearly spilled out for Ye Chen's viewing. Neither Red Lotus nor Snow Lotus cared, they were lucky to be seen by their leader. Born to obey his orders, they'd do anything. Any pose. Red Lotus and Snow Lotus, right? One of you will guard the original sword palace, the other the sutra pavilion, that Ye Chen ordered. We obey, that they bowed again. This time 4 soft white orbs were on display, extremely beautiful. With regret and emptiness, Red Lotus and Snow Lotus retreated. Sister, does the sect leader not like us? Why doesn't he let us sleep with him? Huangxian asked softly. Red Lotus smiled charmingly. We belong to the sect leader and have endless lifespans. We want to give him more chances. Sister, are you too impatient? She gave her sister a knowing look. Huangxian's face turned red again. I just want to help him relieve stress. As a leader, he must be stressed, right? That they walked and talked, unaware Ye Chen heard everything. He hadn't been stressed, but now he was. Taking a deep breath, Ye Chen calmed down and called his 3 disciples, plus Mu Lei and Li Yao. Soon, they gathered in the hall. Master, we heard a loud noise. It seems there are new buildings. Mu Yen asked, everyone confused. Ye Chen nodded, yes, I just created them. That they were shocked, worshipping their master even more. He could create buildings from thin air. As they marveled, fruit appeared before them, landing on each plate, freshly picked from the garden. They had magical effects. 3 fruits per plate. Others didn't recognize them, but Li Yao, the knowledgeable alchemist, did. Is this Danyang vermilion fruit? And dragon scale fruit? Even soul infant fruit? Li Yao cried out, clutching his head, unable to believe it. Mu Yen asked, Mr. Li, these must be rare, right? That he knew Li Yao was a walking encyclopedia of elixirs, knowing everything. It must be valuable to drive him almost crazy, right? Li Yao took a breath, calmed down, and said solemnly, these 3 are extremely rare and precious. Finding just one is difficult. Every time, it starts a riot. Because they're scarce and effective. Even in the tribulation period, they work. That's what's so appealing. Li Yao grew more excited, trembling slightly. A soul infant fruit once sold for tens of millions of spirit stones. The buyer was cautious, but still got robbed. He lost the stones and the fruit. A huge loss. Even someone in the tribulation stage stole it. Soul infant fruit helped them too. Even a little soul strength boosted the odds of becoming a true immortal. They were stunned. 1 fruit caused a river of blood. Now, they each had 1. Plus Danyang red and dragon scale fruits. Outside, it'd trigger a bloodbath. They knew they had a huge opportunity. Sect leader, can we really eat them? Mu Lei asked carefully. He had the lowest status, just family. He couldn't believe he could have such fruit. Ye Chen nodded, eat what you're given. They stopped being polite, picking up the fruit and savoring it. After the dragon scale fruit, Guing Luo felt fire, her bones, muscles, even blood burning. Her strength improved. Physically, she was at least comparable to the 2nd or 3rd level of the Golden Core stage. She was only at the peak of the foundation building stage. Mu Yen ate the Danyang red fruit, condensing spiritual energy and accelerating cultivation. He felt stronger, his palm strikes more powerful. After the soul infant fruit, their minds were clearer. their souls more condensed, their spiritual senses expanded. 3 fruits improved everything. Mu Lei sat and broke through, quickly going from the 7th to the 8th level of the Golden Core stage. Su Jian and Gu Yingluo were about to break through again but were stopped by Ye Chen. They were advancing too fast, especially Su Jian. Constant breakthroughs weren't good, leading to emptiness, so, Ye Chen conjured tea, floating it before them. They didn't know what kind, but if the sect leader gave it, it must be good. The scent made them feel comfortable, their minds clear, and practice became simple. They drank immediately. This, could it be enlightenment tea? After Li Yao screamed, he sat down and started practicing. The others entered enlightenment. That was the effect of enlightenment tea, helping people realize truth. Doubts were solved, inspiration colliding. This time, Ye Chen let them break through. Su Jian broke through from the 5th to the 6th level of the foundation building stage. Gu Yingluo broke through from the peak of the foundation building stage to the 2nd level of the golden elixir stage. Mu Yen broke through from the 5th to the 6th level of the golden elixir stage. The disciples were geniuses, breaking through easily. It is enlightenment tea leaf. The legendary enlightenment tea leaf. Li Yao regained consciousness, trembling with excitement. He swallowed the remaining leaves, not wanting to waste anything. Enlightenment tea. The magical thing that helps enlightenment. Gu Yingluo was shocked. She'd seen records in an ancient Jinyu Sect book. She thought it was fake, but it was real, and in Kunlun Holy Land. She drunk it. Many holy lands seek the enlightenment tea tree. But it's a spirit of heaven and earth, knowing how to survive. No one can catch it. Li Yao was shocked. What kind of sect had he joined? He was important before, but he'd never had as much tea as enlightenment tea leaves. Just a cup of tea, something to quench my thirst. Ye Chen didn't care about the commotion. He made tea whenever he wanted. It was normal for him. Hearing his tone, Li Yao smiled helplessly. Sect leader, of course you don't find it strange. But for us, a cup of tea and a few fruits are a huge opportunity. Now that they'd broken through, Ye Chen told them to try the original Sword Palace, the Sutra Pavilion, the Chaos Realm, and the God of War Palace. These facilities would help them progress faster. When Mu Yen and Yingluo finished training, it's time for them to continue their mission. Ye Chen opened the system. Seeing the elder disciple Mu Yen recovers his dignity task at 80%, what rewards would he get at 100%? Chapter 35. The flow of time is different, shattering the Haotian Mirror. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The chaos world is like a black hole hanging over Kunlun, threatening to swallow souls and obliterate them forever. With Ye Chen's okay, Mu Yen stepped into the chaos world. After a dizzy spell, he found himself suspended in an endless void. Instead of ground, he floated. Before him loomed a massive sphere, so vast its edges were beyond sight, he could just barely make out a curve, hinting at its immense size. Mu Yen was awestruck. He'd never encountered anything so boundless, speculating if, in the real world, it could engulf the entire heaven realm. Master's skills are unbelievable. How did he even create this? He wasted no time, focusing on the laws at play within the chaos world. He could see countless lines woven across the sphere's surface, each representing a law with its own unique operation. Some even overlapped and intersected. What looked like simple intersections represented the fusion of distinct laws. This was exponentially harder than understanding a single law. These interwoven laws shaped everything. Just observing it made Mu Yen dizzy, nearly passing out. Fortunately, Master's voice cut through. Focus. Understand the flame laws. Ignore the rest. Master's guidance centered him, allowing him to concentrate solely on fire. At the God of War Palace, Gu Yingluo opened a door to reveal individual training rooms. Curiosity piqued, she picked one at random and stepped inside. The room transformed into a boundless training ground the moment the door closed. She already knew the rules of the palace. You can pick your opponent and adjust their level, strength, even species. Gu Yingluo was shocked. No need to risk life and limb to get stronger. The palace was perfect. Plus, injuries or even death here didn't carry over to the real world. It was the ultimate training ground. I'll fight myself first. On a whim, she chose herself as her opponent. When an exact copy of herself materialized, she could barely believe it. Then, she attacked, using every trick she knew to defeat her virtual self. But who knows you better than yourself? Virtual Guing Luo felt no pain, feared no death, and anticipated every move. After a grueling fight, Guing Luo was exhausted and beaten. Only by resorting to a mutual kill had she finally gained the edge. Why am I weaker than my imitation? No way. Guing Luo started again, facing herself once more. This time, her improved combat experience led to a quicker victory. Each fight honed her instincts, fueling a continuous streak of wins. After defeating virtual Guing Luo for the 5th time, she dialed up the difficulty to a Golden Core level 5 opponent. Surprisingly, this new opponent felt less threatening than her virtual self. So, even though I'm only at Golden Core level 2, my combat skills are already enough to beat a level 5. Realization struck her. The level 5 Golden Core was enough to become an outer sect elder in Jinyu Sect. Jin Hao, the supposed strongest of the sect's younger generation, was only Golden Core level 2. She'd been helpless against him recently, but now, would she even need more than a single finger to take him out? Thinking of Jin Hao, she tried to pit herself against his virtual self. And it worked. Jin Hao appeared before her. Even though it was just a simulation, Guing Luo felt a surge of murderous intent. You scum! You almost kept me and brother Mu Yan apart forever. Die! She crushed virtual Jin Hao with a single finger. Su Jian couldn't wait to get to the original sword palace. A tall palace, 9 stories high. Master said I'd find the sword and techniques that fit me here. He strode inside. The effect of his supreme sword bone was immediate, setting every sword in the palace humming. Even the lights representing sword techniques pulsed, eager to burst free and rush to him. Su Jian was floored. So many swords, so many techniques, how was he supposed to choose? Just then, a figure in red materialized, Hongmeng, the palace guardian. Kid, sword arts that are too low level aren't right for you, and you can't use arts that are too advanced. I recommend choosing 3 to 5, ideally King, Saint, or Immortal level. Hongmeng offered her advice with a smile. Su Jian hadn't expected anyone to be guarding the palace. Blushing at Hongmeng's figure, he bowed his head and said, "Thank you for your guidance, Senior." "I'll remember it." Then, he asked hesitantly, "Senior, are you Master's partner?" Only Master could be worthy of such a beautiful woman, right? Hongmeng was stunned. She hadn't expected such sweet words. The term partner felt pretty good. Hee, you could say that. Maybe one day I'll be your mistress. With that, Hongmeng decided to help him one more time. She waved, and a bright flash of light appeared, landing in her hands. The sword was more than 3 feet long, sharp and radiant. A rare find. This is the Green Light Divine Sword. It's a sacred weapon. You're too weak for anything immortal or imperial yet, so just use this. Hongmeng handed the sword to Su Jian. What a sword! Thank you, Senior. Su Jian looked at the Qingguang sword, ecstatic. He loved it. He could even feel the sword's joy. After getting the green light sword, Su Jian found 4 more techniques, ranging from king to immortal level. He didn't want to bite off more than he could chew. Once he'd mastered those, he could move on to more powerful stuff. A day later, the 3 disciples emerged from their training, meeting outside the main hall. Junior brother, Ing Luo, it's been a year. How much have you improved? Mu Yan looked at Su Jian and Guing Luo happily, unable to contain his excitement, as if he had great news to share. Guing Luo raised an eyebrow at the mention of a year. Brother Mu Yan, are you sure? I thought it was only half a year. Junior brother Su Jian, you agree, right? Half a year. Guing Luo looked to Su Jian for confirmation. Su Jian was the most confused. He was sure he'd spent only a day picking swords in the original sword palace. Why did his senior brother say a year and his senior sister say half a year? Su Jian smiled helplessly. Senior brother, senior sister, are you guys getting delirious from training? It's only been a day. Mu Yan and Guing Luo just looked at each other in confusion. their stories just did not line up. Who was wrong? Just as they were about to start arguing, Ye Chen called them to the main hall. Inside, Mu Yan immediately asked Ye Chen, "Master, I trained in the chaos world for a year. How is it that I'm out of sync with my junior siblings?" "Yeah, Master, I was in the God of War Palace for half a year." Guing Luo also felt confused. Su Jian opened his mouth, then closed it, shrugging helplessly. Ye Chen explained, "Time flows normally in the original Sword Palace, so it was one day. The chaos world is different. You were there for a year, but only one day passed outside. Same with the God of War Palace. You trained for half a year, but only a day passed." The three finally understood, marveling at Master's power controlling time itself. Unbelievable. This way, they could train like crazy in the Chaos Realm or the God of War Palace without consequence. Reality would barely notice. With those two havens, how could they ever fall behind? "See? I told you," Su Jian said proudly. "Mu Yan, Luo, you're going down the mountain for something related to the Jinyu Sect." Ye Chen said to the two of them, their faces darkened. They didn't have fond memories of the sect, and their lives had almost been ruined by it. After crushing the three sects with Master in the Falling Moon Realm, they no longer feared the Golden Jade Sect. "We will share the teachings of the Kunlun Holy Land. Reason with the Jinyu Sect." Mu Yan said with a sly grin. "Visit the Gu family first. It's Inglua's family, and I can't just ignore that. Also, your training alone isn't enough this time. I'll give you some protection. Use it when you need it." Ye Chen handed each of them 50 small stones. They took the stones, trusting that Master had a purpose. If he said the stones would protect them, they would. "Go." Ye Chen opened a portal, letting Mu Yan and Guing Luo step through. Watching it close, Su Jian said jealously, "Master, what's that technique? Can I learn it?" Ye Chen chuckled. "That's not a technique, it's something you learn automatically when you reach a certain level. You'll master it in the True Immortal realm." Gulp. Su Jian swallowed. True Immortal. That was a long way off. He was still a scrub in the foundation establishment stage. In truth, Ye Chen hadn't told him he'd need to reach at least the Immortal Lord realm to master it. After sending Mu Yan and Guing Luo away, Ye Chen sensed something. Someone was trying to spy on him. "Humph. How dare you speculate on my origins? Don't you know there'd be consequences?" Ye Chen scoffed, dismissing it. The source was the Luoyue Holy Land, far away in the Luoyue realm. Since Ye Chen had crushed the three sects and humbled the Guiyuan and Tiangang sects, the Kunlun Holy Land had been the talk of the Luoyue realm. Naturally, they wanted to know Ye Chen's background. In a main hall of Luoyue Holy Land, several true immortal inner elders gathered, using a mirror to deduce Ye Chen's identity. He killed 2 true immortals with a slap. Can we really figure it out? Shouldn't we tell the Holy Lord and let him deal with it? Elder Ruyan still felt uneasy, but another true immortal elder said confidently, "We're in the True Immortal realm, and we have the Haotian Mirror. How could we fail?" Several other true immortal elders agreed. They were confident in their abilities, and the Haotian Mirror was an immortal-level artifact, a copy of an imperial treasure. If they couldn't figure it out, they might as well die. Enough talk, start. The true immortal elders channeled immortal power into the Haotian Mirror. The majestic energy lit up the mirror, and its surface rippled. A blurry figure began to appear. Seeing that it worked, Ruyan gained confidence and increased her power. As the figure in the mirror became clearer, a cold snort echoed from it. "Humph!" The Haotian Mirror shattered. Elder Ruyan and the others were thrown back, coughing blood, their strength fading. "Cough!" Elder Ruyan struggled to sit up, terrified. That voice, it sounded like him. After coughing up more blood, she said in horror, "Wasn't that the man who'd flattened the Tiangang Dao sect with a hand? He'd just severely injured a bunch of true immortals through the Haotian Mirror, and even destroyed the mirror itself. Terrifying. Terrifying." Another elder, his face bloody, was filled with regret. They'd overestimated themselves. "Tell the Holy Lord." Let him decide, that they would adjust and recover before reporting, this was beyond their power. Chapter 36, Capture the Lord of the Holy Land alive, Immortal Siming takes action. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Holy Lord Luoyue learned about this, she was shocked. How could anyone shatter the Haotian Mirror and injure so many powerful true immortals? The Haotian Mirror was a crucial magical weapon for the Luoyue Holy Land, and now that it was destroyed, she had to recover it. Dressed in luxurious robes, Holy Lord Luoyue possessed an aura as vast as the ocean. So, this person is at least a celestial immortal. Does a celestial immortal dare to oppose our Luoyue Holy Land? She asked, anger causing her to tremble, especially her snow-white breasts. Powerful energy emanated from her as a holy lord. Her strength had reached the Huangxian realm, dwarfing the true immortals, earth immortals, and heavenly immortals. A mere immortal couldn't challenge her. With a wave of her hand, a mirror appeared. As the mirror cleared, the figure from before reappeared. Elder Ruyan and the others watched nervously. They had experienced the person's terror, but with the Holy Lord involved, surely things would be all right. Confident, Holy Lord Luoyue used her magic to sharpen the figure, but just when she thought she had him, the blurry figure in the mirror reached out, the hand stretched across time and space and emerged from the mirror. What? Holy Lord Luoyue cried out in horror. He knew she was probing him. He could reach through her magic. Before Elder Ruyan and the others could react, the hand grabbed Holy Lord Luoyue's neck and dragged her into the mirror. The powerful Huangxian Holy Lord Luoyue couldn't resist. By the time they realized what happened, Holy Lord Luoyue had vanished, her presence gone. This alarmed the entire Luoyue Holy Land. A Holy Lord kidnapped was a shocking event that could severely impact them. Experts arrived, hoping to find clues and rescue the Holy Lord, but no matter their methods, they found nothing. The Holy Lord had disappeared without a trace. What happened? The Holy Lord is a peak Huangxian. How could she be captured, especially within the Holy Land? This is an insult to our Luoyue Holy Land. We must find them. Finding the Holy Lord is the priority. That the Holy Land's leaders were enraged but powerless. Should we call on Immortal Siming? Someone suggested. Silence fell, as most immortals cultivated in seclusion. Immortal Lord Siming had been secluded for tens of thousands of years, but for divination, Immortal Siming was the best in the Luoyue Holy Land. If he were here, they could locate the Holy Lord. As the immortals hesitated, a voice echoed, I know the cause and effect. An unknown power took the Holy Lord, a disgrace to our Holy Land. A handsome man in green robes appeared. He looked to be in his 30s but had lived for ages. It's Immortal Siming. Immortal Lord Siming has emerged from seclusion. Great! With him, we can find her and make the enemy pay. The experts were thrilled. Immortal Siming produced a palm-sized compass, his personal weapon. The compass expanded to 10 feet. Immortal Siming poured his power into it, causing it to glow and strange runes to fly out. Searching for connections, time passed, impatience grew. Immortal Lord Siming frowned, unable to find any traces or connections. It was as if Holy Lord Luoyue had never existed. Impossible. He shook his head. Even in death, cause and effect leave traces. He found nothing, no clues about the arm. After a long calculation, Immortal Siming grew anxious, losing his composure. The onlookers panicked. If Immortal Siming couldn't figure it out, how could they? He tried clues like Su Jian and Kunlun Holy Land, but still found nothing. Clearly, a peerless master had erased all traces. Realizing this, Immortal Siming paled and quickly put away his compass. That person has cut off all connections to avoid being found. I can't even perfectly cut or hide cause and effect like that. Their strength is beyond comprehension. I can't do anything. Immortal Lord Siming was dejected. His pride had failed him. It was a major blow. Everyone was shocked. If Immortal Siming said that, how powerful was the enemy? Could it be an Immortal Emperor? If so, they were helpless. Only an Immortal Emperor could fight an Immortal Emperor. The Immortal Emperors of Luoyue Holy Land had left the desolate immortal world millions of years ago. there was no way to reach them, despair settled in, Elder Rian suggested, search the old-fashioned way. Since they flaunted the Kunlun Holy Land name, the sect must exist somewhere in the desolate immortal world. We can use our connections and eventually find the real Kunlun Holy Land. Rian's suggestion was simple but not efficient. The Luoyue Holy Land leaders agreed it was their best option, thus, Luoyue Holy Land mobilized its disciples and connections to search for the Kunlun Holy Land. At the Kunlun Holy Land, Holy Lord Luoyue was horrified to find her power suppressed. She was now immortal. Before her stood a strange young man. "Who are you?" Holy Lord Luoyue demanded. Ye Chen smiled coldly. A prisoner being arrogant? She was truly the Holy Lord of a holy land. Aren't I the Lord of Kunlun Holy Land? Didn't recognize me after all this time? Ye Chen's smile dripped sarcasm, as his gaze traveled up and down her body. Such a direct gaze made Holy Lord Luoyue extremely uncomfortable. As the powerful Holy Lord, no one dared look at her so boldly. He was the first. "Don't look," Holy Lord Luoyue warned angrily. Ye Chen laughed. This woman didn't know her place. Slap! He backhanded her across the face. Fortunately, he held back, or it would have knocked her senseless. Holy Lord Luoyue was stunned. The burning pain made her tear up. She hadn't felt such pain in years. The slap made her feel like the weak girl she once was. Woo! Holy Lord Luoyue covered her swollen cheek, tears in her eyes. "I need a maid to serve tea." "You'll do. If I'm happy, I might restore your powers." Ye Chen smiled. She was trapped with no chance of escape. The Holy Lord reduced to bringing tea. What a joke that would be. If she ever regained her strength, she'd lead the attack on Luoyue Holy Land and make him regret this. Meanwhile, in the Huangxian realm, the Gu family faced dire straits. Since Jin Hao's death, the Jinyu Sect had investigated them. Because Gu Yingluo had also vanished, his murder might be related to her. Now, the Jinyu Sect sent Jin Xian to wipe out the family in revenge. Jin Xian was the Jinyu Sect's most talented disciple besides Jin Hao. Also at the second level of the Golden Core stage, he was as strong as Jin Hao, but Jin Hao, being the sect leader's son, always outranked him. With Jin Hao dead, Jin Xian could finally step into the spotlight. Good riddance. I should thank the murderer for killing my biggest rival. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten ahead. Jin Xian was secretly pleased. He couldn't show it, though. If the sect leader, Jin Ruetian, saw him happy, it would anger him. During this period, Jin Ruetian was like a mad beast. No one dared approach him, including Jin Xian. Pushing aside his thoughts, Jin Xian looked at the heavily fortified Gu family, growing impatient. Patriarch Chen, Patriarch Imo, are you just going to sit there? Hurry up and break the formation. Jin Xian coldly scolded the two middle-aged men beside him. The Chen and Mo families were like the Gu family, their leaders at the nascent soul stage, but they acted like children before Jin Xian, who was only at the second level of the Golden Core realm. They did whatever he said. They feared not Jin Xian, but the Jinyu Sect he represented. They had to cooperate. They also had selfish motives, to annex the Gu family's resources after they were gone. However, the Gu family's defenses were too strong. They'd been attacking for 2 days without breaking through. Don't worry, Jin Xian, we'll break it today. The head of the Mo family sneered, ordering his clan to continue attacking. With the combined efforts of the Mo and Chen families, the Gu family's defenses were weakening. Among the Gu family, the leader steeled himself, knowing the formation couldn't last. Gu family members, we face a catastrophe. We can't escape. Our only option is to fight. He knew the family was doomed. With the Mo and Chen families attacking, they could only persevere, and there was Jin Xian. He was the source of their despair. How could the small Gu family compare with the mighty Jinyu Sect? The Gu family could be wiped out with just a few tricks. It's a pity. I don't know if Yingluo is alive or dead. I hope she's okay. In his final moments, he thought of his daughter. A loud bang echoed, and the defense finally collapsed. The masters of the Mo and Chen families rushed in. Kill! The Gu family leader, filled with murderous intent, raised his blade and charged at the two families. Lao Gu, we're your opponents. Patriarch Chen and Patriarch Imo wouldn't let him kill their people. They laughed and confronted him. The sudden battle was brutal, and many died. The Gu family fought with incredible desperation, withstanding the two families' attacks. As the battle raged, a portal opened in the sky, and a young man and woman emerged. It was Mu Yen and Guang Luo. Seeing her family suffer, Guang Luo cried out, "Dad!" The shout drew everyone's attention. Jin Xian turned and grinned. Wasn't that the goddess of his dreams, Guang Luo? She had returned. Ha! Chapter 37 The Ultimate Move, Heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Guang Luo was a superstar in the Jinyu Sect. Not only was she incredibly talented, but she was also gorgeous. Plenty of male disciples, even elders, were after her. Jin Xian was one of them. The moment Jin Xian laid eyes on Guang Luo, he became obsessed, but before he could make a move, Jin Hao, that piece of trash, beat him to it. Now, even Guang Luo was off limits. Stop! Jin Xian shouted. The Chen and Imo families immediately broke apart and ceased fighting. Junior sister Ing Luo, the sect leader's been searching high and low for you. So, you're here. Come back with me, I guarantee everything will be alright. Jin Xian's eyes greedily scanned Guang Luo's figure. Sensing his disgusting gaze, Guang Luo issued a sharp warning. Jin Xian, look at me like that again, and I'll dig your eyes out. Ha ha ha, junior sister Ing Luo's hilarious. I'm at the second level of the Golden Core realm. Dig away if you can. Jin Xian laughed, finding the threat comical. He knew Guang Luo was only at the foundation building stage, nowhere near the Golden Core level. Her threats were just cute and harmless. Junior sister Ing Luo, I'll say it again, come with me, and I'll find a way to clear your name. Just stay with me from now on, and help me blow off some steam now and then. Jin Xian grinned with vulgarity. Clearing Guang Luo's name was simple, just confess that someone else killed Jin Hao, and she was lucky to survive. Done. Now, it all depended on whether Guang Luo was willing. Patriarch Gu, relieved to see his daughter safe and sound with Mu Yen, was also anxious. Ing Luo. Get out of here. Don't come back. Mu Yen, you take her. Get her to safety. The head of the Gu family was heartbroken. He knew this could be the last time he ever saw his daughter, but as long as she was safe, he could die in peace. He already regretted pushing Ing Luo and Jin Hao together. It wasn't even his idea. Some elders in the family strongly suggested it. He always believed his daughter should decide her own happiness, but regrets were useless now. The chickens had come home to roost. Guang Luo smiled and reassured him, Dad, don't worry. Mu Yen and I came back to deal with the Jinyu Sect. Everyone was stunned, wondering if she'd lost her mind to say something so ridiculous. Jin Xian burst out laughing. Ha ha, take down the Jinyu Sect. When did you learn to tell jokes, junior sister? Do you even know how powerful the Jinyu Sect is? You can't just run your mouth and expect to take them down. Junior sister, you're so adorable. Jin Xian's ridicule was blatant, a little girl in the foundation building stage making such a claim. It was a joke, plain and simple. The Chen and Imo families joined in the laughter, roaring with amusement. Ha ha ha, this little girl's so clueless it's hilarious. Take down the Jinyu Sect. Or get taken down by the Jinyu Sect. Let's get our stories straight. She must be out of her mind from desperation. How else could she say something so absurd? The laughter was merciless. Only Guang Luo and Mu Yen remained calm. Ing Luo, let me handle that creep. I can't stand him anymore, Mu Yen said, itching to get his hands on Jin Xian, to gouge out his eyes and vent his anger, but Ing Luo insisted on settling the score herself. Brother Mu Yen, let me do it. I won't rest until I kill that disgusting thing myself. Mu Yen reluctantly agreed. Jin Xian, overhearing their conversation, found it hilarious that they were arguing over who got to kill him. Ha ha ha, junior sister Ing Luo. You're going to kill me. I'm so scared. Why don't you give it a shot? Jin Xian laughed, thoroughly amused, Gu Yingluo had had enough and immediately attacked, intent on killing Jin Xian. Yingluo! Patriarch Gu cried out in alarm. He knew his daughter's strength. She was only at the foundation building stage. How could she possibly stand a chance against Jin Xian? One direct hit, and Yingluo would be finished. But Patriarch Chen and Patriarch Imo were watching him closely, preventing any intervention. Ha ha ha, you're welcome. Let your senior brother give you a good pounding. Jin Xian was shocked that Gu Yingluo dared to attack him. In his eyes, she was practically throwing herself at him. Mystic Jade Hand. Facing Gu Yingluo's attack, Jin Xian unleashed a king-level palm technique. He'd mastered the Mystic Jade Hand, and using it against Gu Yingluo was like swatting a fly with a sledgehammer. What a powerful palm technique! High level for sure, Patriarch Imo exclaimed. At least a king-level technique. Is this the foundation of the Jinyu Sect? Impressive. The head of the Chen family was also impressed by the Mystic Jade Hand. Even his family's strongest spells weren't as powerful. This girl's lost her mind. How can she fight with such a difference in strength? She's practically walking right into his arms. She probably thinks Jin Xian won't actually kill her, so she's doing whatever she wants. Everyone laughed and gossiped, mistaking Gu Yingluo's actions for a childish prank. But as Gu Yingluo approached Jin Xian, her second-level golden core strength suddenly erupted. The overwhelming aura instantly wiped the smiles off everyone's faces. What? Second level of the golden core stage? Wasn't she in the foundation building stage? What's going on? What a powerful aura. Is this her confidence? Everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe Gu Yingluo, just moments ago in the foundation building stage, had suddenly become a golden core master. Gu Yingluo unleashed a palm strike. The terrifying force shattered the Mystic Jade Hand and slammed into Jin Xian's chest. Jin Xian's body was sent flying, crashing into the ground and creating a massive crater. Silence fell. Everyone was in disbelief. Gu Yingluo actually defeated Jin Xian with a single blow. No, Jin Xian's dead. He's not breathing. Patriarch Mo noticed Jin Xian's lack of life. He was dead. A wave of excitement swept through the crowd. Countless people gasped in shock. Eyes filled with disbelief stared at Gu Yingluo, struggling to comprehend what they had just witnessed. Jin Xian, a genius disciple of the Jinyu Sect, powerful and skilled in king-level techniques, few could match him in the same realm, yet Gu Yingluo had killed him with a single palm. Even Jin Xian himself never imagined he would die so easily. Now he was gone, with no chance to regret. Was she hiding her strength all along? Patriarch Mo's pupils shrank in disbelief. What kind of palm technique was that? It shattered the king-level Mystic Jade Hand without a chance. The head of the Chen family gasped. It wasn't Gu Yingluo's sudden surge in strength that shocked him, but the seemingly ordinary yet devastating palm strike. On the Gu family side, Patriarch Gu, who thought his daughter was doomed, was now speechless. Was this really the Gu Yingluo he knew? Yingluo. Patriarch Gu mumbled, dazed. After a moment of confusion, a proud smile spread across his face. This was his daughter, and she was stronger than anyone. You too, don't even think about it. While everyone was still in shock, Mu Yan unleashed the Heavenly Emperor's divine flame on the Chen and Mo families. The Heavenly Emperor's divine flame, the most terrifying fire in existence, was unstoppable. Soon, most of the Chen and Mo families were engulfed in the raging inferno. Boy, you're asking for death. The head of the Chen family, enraged, felt his teeth grinding. These were the elites of his family. If they were killed or injured, the Chen family's strength would plummet. He charged toward Mu Yan, unleashing his nascent soul-level power, intent on killing him. Sensing the overwhelming force, Mu Yan, instead of being afraid, grew excited. Nascent soul. Perfect timing to test the new tricks I learned from the Chaos Realm. Mu Yan raised his hand and unleashed a wave of the golden Heavenly Emperor's divine flame, creating a sea of fire that crashed into the head of the Chen family. The terrifying flames and intense heat made the nascent soul master struggle. He'd never encountered such a strange and powerful flame. Breaking wave fist. Patriarch Chen unleashed a punch, his spiritual power surging toward the Heavenly Emperor's divine flame like a tsunami, hoping to extinguish it, but instead of being extinguished, the golden flames grew even stronger. What's going on? What kind of flame is this? Patriarch Chen panicked. Is this the strength of a nascent soul master? Doesn't seem like much. Mu Yen scoffed and began using a unique technique to condense the Heavenly Emperor's divine flame. After continuous compression, the flame transformed into an exquisite golden lotus. Perfect. Feeling the terrifying destructive power within the golden lotus, Mu Yen laughed. This was the unique technique he'd created after comprehending the law of fire in the chaos realm. He named it Emperor Fire Lotus. Go. Mu Yen threw the Heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus toward the Chen family head. The palm-sized golden lotus left a bright trail in the sky, like a blazing meteor, beautiful, but utterly devastating. Family leader Chen felt an immense force hurtling toward him. He saw a small golden fire lotus. Crap! The destructive aura emanating from it made even the nascent soul master's hair stand on end. A direct hit from this golden lotus meant certain doom. He quickly threw out a small shield. The shield expanded rapidly, becoming dozens of feet tall, like a small hill. The moment the shield formed, the Heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus slammed into it with full force. Boom! The deafening blast shook the sky. Even the clouds scattered, the flames erupted from the Fire Lotus spread in all directions, turning into a sea of fire. The shield shattered upon impact, utterly useless. The head of the Chen family suffered severe burns across his chest, half his body charred. Cough, this move of yours. Patriarch Chen's eyes widened. He couldn't believe he'd been seriously injured by a golden core level fighter. Without the shield, he might have died. Now, his combat power was severely diminished. He had no chance of continuing the fight. Like my moves? Want to learn? Too bad, I won't teach you. Mu Yen teased. He was very satisfied with the power of the Heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus. It was the first secret technique he'd ever created. Old Chen, Patriarch Mo and Patriarch Gu, locked in battle, quickly separated after the explosion and saw the scene. Patriarch Gu couldn't believe the useless man had almost killed a nascent soul master. Was this what they called a loser? Old Mo, still want to fight? I don't think so, right? Patriarch Gu asked mockingly. Seeing Patriarch Mo's stunned expression, Patriarch Mo sighed sadly and gave up completely. We lost. What started as a favorable situation had turned upside down thanks to the appearance of two young people. First, Jin Xian was killed. Then, the head of the Chen family was severely injured. Was there any point in continuing? He only wanted to know what had happened to Mu Yan and Gu Yingluo. How had they transformed so completely? Old Gu, you may have won today, but can you defeat the Jinyu Sect? They are your real enemy, Patriarch Mo said pointedly. Chapter 38 Breaking into the Jinyu Sect, we convince people with reason. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hearing that, Patriarch Gu's good mood tanked fast. The Jinyu Sect. They were an unstoppable juggernaut. So, they dodged a bullet today, but the real threat was still out there. It was like a sword dangling over their heads, ready to drop and end them at any moment. Humph, so what? By the time the Jinyu Sect even gets wind of what happened here, my Gu family will be long gone. If we can't go toe-to-toe with them, we'll just disappear. The Gu family had declared, puffing out his chest. They can't touch me if they can't find me, right? He refused to believe the Jinyu Sect was that powerful, able to track them down anywhere. Dad, Gu Yingluo, with Mu Yan beside her, approached him. Good daughter. Good son-in-law. You saved us all today. Patriarch Gu was touched and grateful, but he also felt a pang of guilt. Dad, coming back to save the family was only half the mission. We're here to take down the entire Jinyu Sect, Gu Yingluo said, dead serious. Patriarch Gu quickly put his hand on her forehead, checking for a fever. Why was she spouting nonsense like that now of all times? Honey, the Jinyu Sect is a force of nature. We'd be hitting our heads against a brick wall. Our best bet is to pack up and run while we still can. That the Gu family head lectured, his voice full of earnestness. He didn't know how these two young ones had gotten so powerful and confident, but he was afraid they'd gotten the wrong idea about the power they suddenly wielded. So, Guing Luo could off Jin Xian with a single palm, and Mu Yen could take down a Yuanying. Big deal. The Jinyu Sect was swarming with golden cores, nascent souls, and a ton of transformed gods, and their leader, Jin Ruetian, was an unbeatable void refining stage master. How could these two kids even compare? The Jinyu Sect. What's so special about them? Mu Yen said casually. Before, he would have thought the Jinyu Sect was an unbeatable force, beyond his reach, but after following his master, his perspective had changed big time. Sure, those achievements were all thanks to his master, but just being around him had made him realize the Jinyu Sect wasn't all that. However, Patriarch Gu heard those words and frowned, annoyed. Son, that's the wrong attitude. Listen to me, pack your stuff and let's get out of here. We can come back stronger later. Patriarch Gu tried to reason with them, seeing that the two kids were so full of themselves, they had no clue what they were up against. Seeing her dad kept pushing for escape, Guing Luo grabbed his arm, exasperated, and explained, Dad, just trust us. Is Kunlun Holy Land weaker than the Jinyu Sect or what? Standing nearby, Patriarch Imo chimed in awkwardly, I hate to break it to you, but I've never heard of Kunlun Holy Land. Guing Luo shot him a dirty look, and Patriarch Imo quickly shut his mouth. She wanted to explain to her dad just how powerful Kunlun Holy Land was, but right then, a terrifying pressure crashed down from the sky. An angry voice echoed across the land. You bastards! You actually killed Jin Xian. You're gonna pay. An old man came barreling over, unleashing a palm strike that turned into a spiritual mountain, threatening to crush everyone. It's a divine transformation stage cultivator. Patriarch Gu's face went pale. How did a transformation god stage master end up here? Patriarch Imo was also shocked. The transformation master who appeared didn't care who was who, just raised his hand and attacked. Was he trying to kill everyone? Emperor Fire Lotus. Quick as a flash, Mu Yen summoned a golden heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus and launched it. Patriarch Gu and Patriarch Imo also jumped in to try and block the giant spiritual palm. Boom! The attack slammed into the giant spiritual palm, unleashing a massive wave of power. The heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus was especially powerful, obliterating most of the giant spiritual palm. It was thanks to that they were still standing. He's strong. Everyone looked at Mu Yen, stunned. If he hadn't thrown out that Fire Lotus to weaken the attack, Patriarch Gu and Patriarch Imo couldn't have blocked the palm on their own. Humph! Seeing that his attack had been stopped, the transformation master's face soured. To him, this was a disgrace. What made him even angrier was that Jin Xian had been killed while he wasn't paying attention. He was responsible for protecting Jin Xian. It was why the Jinyu Sect had switched the protector to the god transformation stage after Jin Hao's death. He'd thought taking down the Gu family was a walk in the park, nothing to even worry about. There was no way Jin Xian would be in any danger here. So, he'd gone to a brothel for some fun. But who knew that the second he was getting hot and heavy with the brothel girl, Jin Xian had died. If the sect leader found out Jin Xian's death was his fault, he was a goner. The death of Jin Hao had already made the sect blow its top. Now that Jin Xian was dead too, the sect leader would definitely take it out on everyone. The old man's eyes burned with murder. He wanted to kill everyone right then and there. God transformation stage. The pressure on everyone doubled. They could maybe fight a nascent soul, but they stood no chance against a god transformation boss. It's over, we can't escape now. Patriarch Gu's face was grim. Guing Luo and Mu Yen were cool as cucumbers. They knew they were no match for a god transformation expert. they couldn't win in a straight fight, but they weren't panicking, because Master had told them the little stones he gave them would come in handy if they were ever in a tight spot. Ing Luo, let me handle this. Mu Yan took out a stone, holding it up in front of Gu Ing Luo, then, he opened his palm, revealing the stone, barely bigger than his thumb. Everyone saw this ordinary stone and didn't know what he was planning. He thought he could beat a god transformation with a few random rocks. What a joke. The old man transformed into a god was too lazy to talk. Another palm crushed over, intending to kill everyone, then maybe he'd have a shot at weaseling out of this. The terrifying power ripped through the air, and everyone knew that the transformed god's palm was unstoppable. Many people even closed their eyes, resigned to their fate. But just as that power hit Mu Yan, the stone in his hand exploded with a buzz. As the stones blew up, a much more terrifying force erupted from inside. It was a fire dragon, radiating immense power, slamming into the giant's spiritual palm. Boom! No surprise, the giant's spiritual palm melted instantly, not even slowing down the 100-foot-long fire dragon. The old man transformed into a god realized something was wrong. That fire dragon made him feel like he was in danger and wanted to dodge, but the fire dragon sped up, and in the blink of an eye, it slammed into him and swallowed him whole. What? No one could see him, they could only hear a scream from inside the fire dragon's body. Then, silence. The fire dragon circled in the sky and faded away. As for the old man swallowed by the fire dragon, he was gone, not a speck of dust left. Dragon? A fire dragon? Where did that come from? Everyone turned to Mu Yan like zombies, eyes glazed over with shock. They all figured that Mu Yan used a fire dragon secret technique to off the god transformation big shot in one blow. What terrifying power! He couldn't even make a single move against a powerful person who transforms into a god. Is this really the fighting power of a golden core monk? Good son-in-law, what just happened? Everyone was beyond shocked, they were scared. Was Mu Yan hiding his true power? Was he secretly a god transformation stage cultivator? No, even if he was, it was impossible to kill another god transformation expert in one hit, unless there was a huge level gap. Mu Yan was a little stunned. It was definitely a technique his master left behind, as badass as ever, one and done. Is that master's style? Seeing everyone staring at him, and knowing that they thought it was his power, he had to explain. It had nothing to do with me, it was my master's power that saved us. Gu Ing Luo also opened her palm. She had a stone too. Yeah, master told us to use them if we were in danger. Everyone stared at the small stone, still unable to believe that the giant fire dragon had just come out of it. If they were telling the truth, how powerful was their master to seal such a terrifying fire dragon inside a small stone? Patriarch Gu asked, his lips trembling, "Daughter, is your master really strong?" Gu Ing Luo smiled, "Of course, he is the strongest person in the world. No one can beat him. There is no doubt that master is powerful. The first priority is to deal with the affairs here. Ing Luo and I have to go to the Jinyu Sect." Mu Yan said to his father-in-law with a smile. He knew that no matter how much they explained, his father-in-law wouldn't believe it, so there was no point wasting time here. "Master Chen, do you have anything else to say?" Mu Yan looked at the nearly dead Chen family head. After Patriarch Chen was hit by his Heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus, most of his body was charred, and the Heavenly Emperor's divine flame was extremely destructive, almost killing Patriarch Chen. I lost. After the Chen family head used his last bit of strength to say those words, he fainted. The Mo family head naturally had no objections. He smiled helplessly and said, "The winner takes all. We, the Mo family, are willing to give up all our profits this year to the Gu family." A family's income for a whole year was huge. He was hurting, but what could he do? Didn't they see that Mu Yan almost killed the Chen family head? And Mu Yan burned a god transformation to ashes with a fire dragon. Could he even try to bargain? After paying a heavy price and working out compensation, both families ran away in defeat. After handling things, Mu Yan and Guing Luo headed straight for the Jinyu Sect without a word. Inside the Jinyu Sect, things were tense. Jin Hao's death had sent sect leader Jin Ruetian into a rage several times. In the main hall, sect leader Jin Ruetian sat on the throne, hair a mess, eyes red and bloodshot, looking like he'd lost his mind. "Anything? What have you found?" Jin Ruetian asked, his voice hoarse. Two Void Refining Stage executives stood below. They reported, "Sect Master, we've locked onto the Gu family, and we'll have leads soon." Boom! Jin Ruetian smashed the armrests of the chair. Thinking of losing his son had sent him spiraling the past few days. He wanted to make the killer suffer in the worst way possible. Just when he was spacing out, a disciple ran in, panicking, with more news. Reporting to the sect master, Jin Xian's life tablet is broken. The disciple trembled. He was terrified. Wasn't he just reporting Jin Xian's death to make the sect leader even crazier? But Jin Xian's life tablet had shattered, meaning Jin Xian was really dead. He couldn't hide it, could he? The disciple wanted to disappear into the floorboards, scared that Jin Rui would slap him to death. What? Hearing the bad news, Jin Ruetian stood up, unable to believe it. He'd just lost his son, and now he lost his favorite disciple too. The terrifying aura of the Void Refining Stage poured out, making everyone breathless. Everyone else was shocked too. Jin Xian was dead. Everyone knew the Jinyu Sect was a volcano about to blow, and someone dared to stir things up. It's true. This is the broken tablet. The disciple was so scared he was shaking. He held up the broken Jin Xian life tablet. Jin Ruetian was beyond furious. The disciple didn't even have time to scream as the terrifying aura instantly killed him. "Find the murderer for me. I want them to die without a grave." Jin Ruetian had lost it. But he didn't know that Mu Yan and Ying Luo were already at the foot of the Jinyu Sect's mountain. Coming back to her old sect, Ying Luo was filled with emotion, knowing that Master had changed her fate. Without him, she might have been stuck with Jin Hao, a plaything for him. Mu Yan looked up at the towering Jinyu Sect peaks and sneered. "Once, this was out of my reach, but now I'm here to take it all down." Mu Yan's voice dripped with murder. He wasn't exactly a nice guy. The Jin Yuzong had almost ruined his life. Was he really going to let them off easy? If it weren't for his master, he'd be dead already. Guing Luo gave him a look and corrected, "Take it all down. That's awful. Master said we need to be reasonable." Mu Yan got it and smiled sheepishly. "My bad, I almost forgot Master's teachings. We're here to convince people with reason. Let's go up there and have a chat." Chapter 39 Kill Through the Mountain Gate and Break the Virtual Finger. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them strolled up the long staircase like they were out for a Sunday walk. At the gate, two disciples, playing guard, stopped them. "This is Jinyu Sect. No loitering. Trespassers will be killed." These two were just Foundation Establishment Stage 1, but they acted like they owned the place. Guing Luo, all smiles, asked, "Do I look like a loiterer?" Her beauty caught them off guard. Then, they realized who it was, Guing Luo, the one the sect had been searching for. Rumor had it she was connected to their young leader's death. "It's her. Guing Luo's here. Sound the alarm. Get Guing Luo." They started yelling, ready to call for backup to arrest Ying Luo. Ying Luo shook her head, her voice turning cold. "I was going to let you live, but you had to push it." With a flick of her wrist, she ended their lives right there. Once inside, they attracted a crowd of disciples. Learning that Guing Luo had brought outsiders and killed fellow disciples, they were ready for a fight. Whether it was to capture her to appease the sect leader or to earn some brownie points, they charged. "Guing Luo, turn yourself in. You're just digging your own grave. You two dare to break into Jinyu Sect. Have you got a death wish? Get them. They're the killers. Avenge the young sect master." Hundreds of Foundation Establishment disciples swarmed towards them. Guing Luo hesitated for a moment. These were her former classmates, some she knew well. She didn't want to kill them all, but their eyes blazed with hate. How could she show mercy? Still, she called out, I'm not unreasonable. I'm giving you a chance. Leave Jinyu Sect now, or don't blame me for what comes next. That it was her final offer to these low-level disciples. But just as she expected, they ignored her, wanting her dead. Sigh. Guing Luo raised her hand, gathering her power. But Mu Yen stopped her, smiling. Ing Luo, I got this. That without another word, he unleashed a wave of golden emperor flame, engulfing the crowd. Ah! What is this fire? It won't go out. We're done for. Run. He's a golden core powerhouse. Run. These disciples, driven by their desire for reward, were consumed by the flames. Some died without even a scream, those who tried to escape were too late. The divine flame of the Heavenly Emperor wasn't easy to shake off. The place became a sea of fire. Guing Luo knew Mu Yen was doing this to protect her conscience. Faced with Mu Yan's attack, they finally realized they were no match. Charging him meant death. The commotion attracted the attention of the sect elders. Who's causing trouble at Jinyu Sect? Take them down. A golden core elder flew into the air, giving orders. Before he could finish, a golden flame spear pierced his heart. Mu Yen, covered in flames, kept conjuring and throwing the spears. Anyone hit was burned alive. Like a flame emperor in fiery armor, he waded into the crowd, killing anyone who stood in his way. Guing Luo also faced a challenge. A dozen golden core masters surrounded her, trying to take her down, but Guing Luo, a supreme immortal, was a fierce fighter. Even against so many, she held her ground. She killed several golden core opponents, forcing them to call for reinforcements. Call for help. These two are too strong. We can't handle them. Especially the one in the flame armor. He's gotta be a nascent soul level. Get the nascent soul elders. They were losing. They stared at Mu Yen and Guing Luo, horrified. How could these two, clearly golden core, fight like this? The chaos spread. At first, they thought it was nothing. Just send out a few more golden cores to settle things. Why bother the nascent soul elders with something like this? But now it was different. The golden cores killed by Mu Yen and Guing Luo were closing in on 20, at this rate, all of Jinyu Sect's golden core masters would be wiped out. Finally, a nascent soul elder stepped in, furious. You thieves, prepare to die. An old man with a cold sword lunged at Mu Yen. The sword seemed to cut through heaven and earth, a force to be reckoned with. Disciples recognized him and shouted excitedly. It's Elder Luo. He's a real nascent soul powerhouse. That flame-armored brat is done for. A golden core can't compete with a nascent soul. Kill him, then capture Guing Luo and bring her to the sect leader. They cheered. Mu Yen had humiliated them, and now they would get their revenge. Nascent soul. Bring it on. Mu Yen summoned another Heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus and hurled it at Elder Luo. The small lotus, a tail of fire behind it, roared through the air and collided with the sword. Boom! 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 The blast shattered Elder Luo's sword and blew half of him away. The cheering stopped. They stared at Elder Luo, engulfed in flames, sent flying, a nascent soul master down in one hit. What was happening? Still can't kill them instantly. Mu Yen sounded disappointed that his Heavenly Emperor Fire Lotus wasn't strong enough to kill even a new nascent soul in one hit. His words made the Jinyu Sect disciples want to tear him apart. You, a golden core guy, already beat all the golden core masters and then took down a nascent soul in one blow. Isn't that enough? Who else can do that? Mu Yan's actions enraged the Jinyu Sect higher-ups. To real masters, 2 golden cores causing trouble was nothing but a nascent soul elder defeated. That was serious. They couldn't let them continue. Jinyu Sect isn't a playground. Guing Luo, come with me to see the sect leader. Maybe I can spare your life. A majestic voice boomed, followed by terrifying pressure. It was the feeling of oppression that only a god transformation master could bring. A middle-aged man appeared above them, looking down like they were ants. Elder Ding, a god transformation master. Even he's involved. What else could we do? These two are too unpredictable. Elder Ding couldn't stand by any longer. They should be honored that Elder Ding is dealing with them, that the disciples knew that with Elder Ding, the two would die, though Guing Luo might be spared. God transformation. Guing Luo glanced up, feeling the pressure but not caring, they'd killed those before. To everyone's confusion, she took out a rock and threw it up. What's she doing? Trying to kill Elder Ding with a rock. That's ridiculous. Where did she even get that? She thinks she can fight Elder Ding with a rock. Is she crazy? The crowd erupted in laughter. Thousands of disciples and elders couldn't stop themselves. Elder Ding seethed with anger, she was trying to humiliate him. I'll capture you first and hand you over to the sect leader. He ignored Mu Yen. He reached out, grabbing Guing Luo from afar, his power erupted, turning into a galaxy, rushing to bind her. In his mind, it was as easy as catching a fish, but after the rock exploded, a sword energy shot out. Zhang, the energy soared like a dragon, so fast it cut through Elder Ding's power, then, with deadly intent, it flew toward him. What? Elder Ding was shocked. The energy was terrifying, sending chills down his spine if he took it head-on. Who knew what would happen? He quickly raised a defense, creating a wall of power, but as the energy hit the wall, he realized it was as weak as tofu. It sliced through his defense and pierced his heart. Boom! The energy surged into his body. Elder Ding didn't stand a chance. His entire body exploded. Crash! Blood rained down, and everyone went silent. Elder Ding, a god transformation master, blown up in front of them. No one could believe it. How could a golden core kill a god transformation? It was unheard of. But they had seen it happen. Guing Luo felt a pang of guilt when Elder Ding died. Master put so many techniques into these rocks. Each one is different. Guing Luo understood her master's intent. And they had plenty more. A god transformation master killed by Guing Luo stunned the Jinyu Sect. After a few moments of silence, they woke up and cried out. He's dead. Elder Ding is dead. How? What happened? Where did that energy come from? The rock. It's the rock. That's the only explanation, they realized it was connected to the rock Guing Luo had thrown. Now, no one in Jinyu Sect dared to attack. Back in the main hall, Jin Ruetian learned that Jin Xian was dead and flew into a rage, killing several disciples. Then he sensed powerful energy, but it vanished just as quickly. What's going on out there? Why is it so loud? He roared. He turned into the wind and rushed out to see what was happening. At the gate, he saw Guing Luo. It's her. She knows who killed my son. Or maybe she's the killer, or at least involved. Seeing her, his anger exploded. Terrible energy surged from him, turning into a storm across Jinyu Sect. The sect leader. He's here. Guing Luo might be tricky, but she's no match for the sect leader. Thank goodness he's here. I don't know who else could stop them, people said, still shaking. The entire Jinyu Sect was terrified of two young Golden Core masters. Guing Luo, who killed my son. Jin Ruetian's eyes burned as he roared. Mu Yen stepped forward, ignoring the pressure. That loser Jin Hao died by my hand. But it's not my fault. He tried to kill me first. I was just defending myself. I'm a reasonable guy. You can't blame me for this. Mu Yen shrugged, acting innocent, but Jin Ruetian didn't hear anything after he admitted to killing Jin Hao. He only wanted to kill him. Broken void finger. Jin Ruetian channeled his power into his finger and pointed. A mountain-sized finger appeared, its terrifying power making everyone tremble. Even the god transformation masters started shaking in fear. Chapter 40. I bet you don't have any stones in your hand. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even a whole mountain would crumble under that finger. That's terrifying. The sect leader's power just jumped up a notch. He's using his full void refinement stage power to kill a golden core stage cultivator. I'd say this battle's the biggest honor that kid's ever gonna get. Yeah, he should be proud of himself. It's just a shame that someone as beautiful as Guingluo's gonna end up as dust, too. What can you do? They did kill the young sect master, after all. Everyone in the Golden Jade sect knew Mu Yen and Guingluo didn't stand a chance now that the sect leader was involved. The void shattering finger is one of Jinyu Sect's deadliest moves. Even if I tried to block it, I wouldn't come out unscathed. A void refinement stage elder shivered just watching Jinyu Sect's technique. Yeah, all this rage and grief lately might have made him even stronger. Another void refinement stage elder chimed in. These two were the strongest in the Golden Jade sect after Jinyu Sect himself. Mu Yen, ready for anything, acted before Jinyu Sect could even move, tossing a stone. Another stone. What is it with this thing? Guingluo killed Elder Ding with a stone, and now this kid's trying to block the sect leader's void shattering finger with one. Nobody understood why Mu Yen was throwing a stone, but after what happened to Elder Ding, they weren't about to underestimate it. When the stone exploded, it turned into a huge mountain, radiating an immense pressure, its surface gleaming with metallic light, blocking the path of the void shattering finger. Boom! Just as expected, the mountain stopped the void shattering finger, the two forces canceling each other out. The explosion shook everyone, but no one dared to blink, wanting to catch every detail. What they saw left them speechless. Is he alright? He took the sect leader's void shattering finger head on and he's not even scratched. Wait, didn't he just make a mountain appear? That mountain blocked the sect leader's attack. That stone's gotta be some kind of super rare magic weapon. It can even neutralize the sect leader's attacks. That's insane. A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. They all knew how powerful the sect leader's void shattering finger was, and Mu Yen and Guingluo were just golden core stage. What could they possibly do? But Mu Yen had done it. Seeing this, Jinyu Sect, his rage starting to fade, began to regain his composure. He guessed that these two must have inherited the skills of some legendary master. That had to be it. That's why they had so many strange tricks. No wonder they dared attack the Golden Jade sect. They were confident because of these secret weapons. This is all great stuff. If I can get my hands on it, I'll have what it takes to crush the other sects. And if I inherit their powers, I could even break through to the integration stage. Jinyu Sect let out a wild laugh. He was thinking clearly again, and the idea of taking Mu Yen and Guingluo's inheritance consumed him. Activate the sect protection formation. Jinyu Sect wasn't in a rush to attack. Instead, he ordered the remaining elders to activate the sect's defensive barrier. His goal was simple: trap Mu Yen and Guingluo inside the Golden Jade sect. He wasn't going to let them escape. The sect's protective formation sprang to life, a translucent barrier now hovering over the entire Golden Jade sect. It was a shield against enemies attacking from the outside. But at the same time, it trapped those inside, cutting off any chance of escape. Jinyu Sect grinned wickedly. Hand over everything you've got, and I'll spare your lives. Now that he knew the whole story of Mu Yen and Guingluo, he didn't need to kill them right away. The best plan was to figure out how to steal their inheritance, then torture them to death. The Golden Jade sect disciples and elders understood what the sect leader was planning. They were in awe of his cunning. To stay calm in front of a deadly enemy, thinking of the sect first. This sect leader has vision. If we get our hands on their gear, the Golden Jade sect will be unstoppable. Guingluo, the sect leader's promising not to kill you. Why are you fighting us? The Golden Jade sect taught you everything you know. You're one of us. Don't you want to see the sect become more powerful? Just cooperate. It's not too late to turn back. The sect leader's a man of his word. The nascent soul and divine transformation stage elders chimed in, trying to break through Guingluo's defenses. Suddenly, the entire Golden Jade sect was trying to persuade Gu Yingluo, acting like they genuinely cared about her. Listening to the barrage of concerned voices, Gu Yingluo's lip curled into a sneer. Were these people stupid, or did they think she was? Did they really think she'd fall for such an obvious trick? Master Jin Ruetian, don't treat me like some clueless kid. You just look like a fool. Gu Yingluo shot back, not holding back her scorn. Hearing her words, Jin Ruetian's face turned even colder, more menacing. Heh, you'll learn the hard way, won't you? I know your rocks are useful, but those kinds of treasures are limited. How many times can you use them? Each time you use one, that's one less. Jin Ruetian said grimly. He figured those rocks were extremely rare, containing unbelievable power. There couldn't be too many of them. They'd already used a few. How many did they have left? Mu Yan and Gu Yingluo just smiled faintly, not saying anything. When it came to quantity, they weren't worried at all. Before they left, their master had given them a ton of those stones. How many had they used so far? Not many. Is that so? Well, I'll show you whether we have enough stones to level this whole sect. Mu Yan held out his hands, so full of rocks that he could barely hold them all. Each rock looked ordinary, but everyone who'd seen their power knew that if he threw all those rocks, the Golden Jade sect probably wouldn't survive. Heh, and I've got these. Gu Yingluo grinned, showing off dozens of small rocks in her hands. Everyone's faces changed in an instant. How many of those rocks do they have? Crap. We're doomed. If all those rocks explode, we're toast. If we can't even block them in the divine transformation stage, how can we survive in the integration stage? Damn it. I'm gonna die. I should go visit my mother-in-law one last time. Panic gripped the Golden Jade sect disciples and elders, their minds racing. Many of the ordinary disciples were regretting their choice. If they'd listened to Gu Yingluo and run away when she told them to, they wouldn't be in this mess. Even those in the divine transformation stage were going to die. Trash like them weren't even worthy of being cannon fodder. Jin Ruetian was stunned when he saw all those stones. He thought they were supposed to be super rare. So how could they have so many? Was it a trick? Could it be that they just grabbed a bunch of rocks to scare them? I don't believe it. If you've got the guts, throw them. Jin Ruetian roared, convinced the stones must be fake. But the trembling muscles on his face betrayed his fear. You asked for it. Don't blame us. Gu Yingluo didn't waste any more words, and threw most of the stones in her hands without hesitation. Mu Yan, on the other hand, stood behind Gu Yingluo, guarding her from any sneak attacks. If anyone dared to approach, he'd throw a hail of stones to see who was tougher and whose master was stronger.